O'Brien. You guys can call me Spicy Tuna. And I cannot wait to get this place buzzing. Let's go!
Woo! That's right. Thank you, Liam. Woo! That gets me fired up. I'm excited to hear that. That brings me right back to the great memory that we made at the NHL welcome party. My name, by the way, welcome into SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer. This is your day one Utah Hockey Club, Utah Hockey Scene podcast, episode 26. It's exciting to be with you here. We're on April. I'm sorry, I totally forgot what month we're in. It's July 21st. Wow, it's already been 3 months since April, if you guys can believe that. But apparently my brain isn't registering that because I just almost said it was April 21st. It's July 21st. Big week coming up, by the way. Pioneer Day coming up. Some call it Pioneer Day as well. I think we're also expecting to get a potential Olympics announcement on Wednesday as well. So a big month for sports in Utah. This is like the golden era of sports in Utah that we're entering right now. Olympics are going to be announced this week. There's still some talks about maybe bringing in a Major League Baseball team. The Jazz, they're kind of always around. We'll see what expectations are for them. I think they're hoping to have a really bad year. But the big news, the big story, and the thing that I'm capitalizing on and talking about the most is the Utah Hockey Club. And they made a big splash, obviously, in April, introducing themselves to the team just days after playing their last game as the Arizona Coyotes. And I would say no guy introduced himself to the fans in a bigger way than Mr. Liam O'Brien. And today we're going to spend some time getting more in depth on him, his role on the team, because we still have some time to fill before the season starts. And so I'm rolling out an education series that you guys have already heard a couple episodes on. One was educational. The other was more me ranting about my taste in movies, but nevertheless. I think there's also time here since we have, I think, about 75 days or so before the season starts. We'll have a bunch more episodes between now and then. We're going to have a get to know the team series. And I think O'Brien's a good one to start with, especially because I think he, as I said, introduced himself in a very loud, boisterous, and memorable way to the fans here in Utah. So we'll get into that. But first, hey, let me just draw your attention again to the SLC Puck shop here. And if you haven't seen this shirt, oh man, look at this. Isn't this nice? I know what you're thinking. That looks a lot like the Golden Eagles logo with a middle finger extended for the bird, on the bird. And that's exactly what it is. I paid some nice guy in Indonesia like $20 to do this for me on Fiverr. And now you can have it on a shirt. Isn't that great? I've sold a few of these. And here's what's cool about the shop here online is not only have I tried to make everything like pretty cheap, like I'm not making like very much money on this and all. I'm considering this your guys' opportunity to market the show for free for me, just by wearing my clothing. So if you want to support the show that way, super cool, love it. If you want to make a donation, you're more than welcome to. That's really appreciated. But every time a purchase is made on slcpuck.shop, I get the notification right away. And I try to send a thank you video to whoever purchased the shirt. And as I said last week, that's a little digital keepsake that you can enjoy through the millennia. And I'm sure you will, especially as this show gets bigger and bigger, and it is growing. I appreciate the support, you guys. We're over 500 subscribers on YouTube, quite a few and other forms as well. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to this as well. Apple, Spotify, and a new program that I'm introducing, a new little product, I guess you could say. It'll be a weekly newsletter in your inbox. And if you want to sign up for that, just go to slcpuck.com. It'll be real short and sweet. Just have a lot of compact information on there. It might get bigger as time goes on. It might get better. It certainly will get better. But if you want to sign up, all the content that I do for you guys is free. So just go ahead and sign up, enter your email there at slcpuck.com, and we'll get you that in your inbox every Monday. But continuing on with our preparation for the inaugural season for the Utah Hockey Club, I think it's important to get to know the players a little bit, know like what to expect out of these guys, their playing style, what their role on the team will be, if they'll be impactful, if they'll be guys who can help the team get wins, how they'll do that. I think because I think what's cool about hockey, and if you're new to hockey, I think you can catch on to this pretty quick just by watching a few games, is that there are very distinct play styles among like different players. And these are like they're kind of pronounced by positions, right? So you can expect your forwards to be like really crafty puck handlers. They have quick shots. They're excellent skaters. Defensemen are kind of your tough guys. There's a lot of physicality, a lot of, there is a lot of great passing that comes from defensemen. I think they really kind of quarterback the plays a lot of times, especially when they're getting out of the defensive zone and all that. But I think other play styles you'll see are guys who like are excellent shooters, guys who are playmakers. They can pass the puck very well. But I think the one of the more eye-catching things, and one of the things that's really going to endear folks around here to hockey, are the guys who muck it up, who get down and dirty, who are not afraid to drop the gloves and throw some punches. And Liam O'Brien is that guy for the Utah Hockey Club. And it's interesting to look closer at Liam O'Brien, look at his stat sheet. In terms of his statistical impact on the game, it's not especially noteworthy, I guess, in terms of like goals, assists, and points. For example, last year was his career year. He had 5 goals and 9 assists and 14 points in 75 games. But probably the most eye-catching stat on his stat line was that he had 153 penalty minutes, which included 11 fights. So that's his role on the team, is to set the stage physically, and it's an important role on the team, and I'll get more into that in just a second. But just to tell you a little bit more about Spicy Tuna. As I played in the intro music, that was how he introduced himself to the fans at the Utah Hockey Club, and I think now, if you look in the local vernacular, everybody knows who Spicy Tuna is, and everybody who's excited about hockey has heard that. He did a great job branding himself. And here's what was interesting about that, is technically at that point when he was on stage with the team, he was not like technically a member of the team. They had just played their last game of the season in Arizona. He was a restricted free agent at that point. So I kind of felt like he was auditioning for his job in a way, by maybe doing a little bit of branding, a little bit of getting out there and getting the fans excited. It would have been funny if the team had decided to not bring him back for whatever reason, and let him sign with another team after he talked about how excited he was to get the place buzzing. But it didn't happen. He signed a 3-year deal worth $1 million buckaroos each year, and I think we'll see Liam O'Brien quite a bit. Now, you'll notice I said quite a bit and not on a consistent basis, because O'Brien, as I said, plays forward. He doesn't have a tremendous statistical impact on their offensive production. And so I think what you'll see is O'Brien be kind of a healthy scratch from time to time, just because there's such a logjam of talent at the forward position, like guys who can score goals. And ultimately, that's how you win hockey games, by the way. I know a lot of you folks are new to the sport, but the way you win a hockey game is you score more goals than the other team. And I know that sounds crazy, but it really is that simple. And there's just going to be situations where O'Brien's skill set isn't going to be needed, but there are going to be a lot of times when it is needed. And I think you saw, obviously I said he played in 75 games last year. I'm assuming some of the, without getting too much into his season, I'm assuming, he missed a few of those due to being a healthy scratch. And basically that just means, they can only have so many guys like dress for a game. And a few of the guys who are on the roster just basically need to get in their street clothes and, watch the game from the stands just due to the roster constraints. But these guys still travel with the team. They practice every day. They're on the roster. They're getting their paychecks. But, there are times when there's just going to be like, hey, Liam, take the night off. We don't need you. And the guys on the Clean Hits podcast, I don't know if you've tuned into Clean Hits at all or read in their stuff. They do a great job. And they made this point as well, where you're going to, and I totally agree with them on this, is you're going to see O'Brien get really called into duty and see the ice a lot more in situations where physicality is needed, right? Maybe they're playing against a team that they have some tension with. Maybe they have some guys on their lineup who are known for being a little bit physical, and they'll have to combat that with their own physicality on Utah's side. That's when you'll see O'Brien take the ice a lot. I think that expecting him to play all 82 games, even if he's healthy and available, probably not going to happen. But again, O'Brien's going to be one of these guys that's going to get people really excited about hockey. He will get in fights. People will love it. He'll score the occasional goal that'll get people really excited. You know, it's like when you play like little league football or like any sport where you have one of the kids who, you know, doesn't really play all that much, or, you know, is maybe not one of the superstars on the team, but, you know, when they score a goal or when they get a basket or when they get a hit, it's a huge deal. And it happens all. I have so many memories of playing like little league baseball, and like, you know, one of my teammates who maybe, you know, wasn't the best on the team, you know, would get like a big hit at a very important part of the game. And that feeling was just crazy as a teammate watching. Oh my gosh, I can't. I want to say names, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. But I think you know what I'm talking about. And Liam O'Brien's going to be that guy for Utah for sure. But he's a big dude. I'll tell you a little bit more about him. He's 6'1", 214 pounds of muscle, I think. Probably a lot of muscle. And he's a big hitter. He had over 200 hits, which put him in the top 15 in the NHL. And his story is pretty cool. Just reading into it a little bit, and in preparation of the show, I listened to a bunch of interviews he gave, and just got as updated and refreshed as I could on his story. And he has a great trajectory into where he is right now in the NHL. He was invited to Washington's training camp in 2014. He was passed over in the NHL draft. I mean, we saw in Utah's NHL draft that, you know, there's like 8,000 guys who get drafted. Liam O'Brien was not one of those guys in 2014. Still went to training camp, and this is impressive. Signed a contract while in training camp, which is like very rare. He must have really stood out in a big way, and this is why. In his first game against Montreal in 2014, he got in a fight, and I believe he won it. And I think that just goes to show that teams do place value on guys who can set the tone physically and get fights. I talked about why fighting is an important part of hockey. You know, it's a momentum setter. It helps the guys police the games. It protects the superstars. And so guys who can do that, who can fight effectively and set a tone with their physicality, find ways to make it in the NHL. And O'Brien is a great example of this. But he's had to fight his way into, you know, finding a place in the league. You know, ever since that rookie year, he just played in 13 games that year. He went back and forth between the NHL and the AHL. He spent a lot of time with the Hershey Bears in the American Hockey League, and in fact was out of the NHL for 3 years, had not played in the National Hockey League for 3 years until he made it back with Colorado in 2021. And again, he's caught on with Arizona. Last year he had a career year, and then just signed a 3-year contract extension with the Utah Hockey Club. But he's an enforcer, and people are going to like that. I know I like that. I understand the necessity for an enforcer. There is a really interesting history around enforcement and guys who take on that role in hockey. And again, I talked so much on the last episode about hockey movies that you should watch. My recommendations for getting into it. Number one, obviously, is not Most Valuable Primate. That's a good one, MVP. That movie, I have an idea for if this show gets to have like a rabid following, like, you know, and it already sort of does. Like, I know I have a lot of people who really like the show, and I appreciate that. But I have this fantasy of renting out a movie theater and having like an SLC Puck screening of MVP Most Valuable Primate with a business casual dress code enforced at the door, which will be up to my discretion as to whether or not you fit my criteria, which will be intentionally vague and kept secret as to what business casual is. So just pencil that on your calendar for some point, okay? We'll do that as a community. We will have a private business casual screening of MVP Most Valuable Primate. But, there's a lot of other great movies, too, that I did not mention in the last episode when talking about hockey movies. And I didn't mention a lot of the great documentaries that are out there. And there are quite a few. And they're really great for people who are just trying to get into hockey, trying to understand the culture, the history, I guess a lot of the language, what goes into a team, like the strategy and all that. And one of the really, really best ones that I can tell you to watch, and there's a couple. I like the one about the Danbury Trashers that's on Netflix. That's a really good one. I can't remember what that one's called, but that one's really good. But the one that I'm talking about right now is called Ice Guardians, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime. And it really goes into the nitty-gritty and the explanation of what is an enforcer in hockey and like why these guys are so important, why these guys, have found a place on rosters. Because a lot of times, the truth is if you can make it to the NHL, you're probably a pretty good skater. You're probably pretty good at hockey. But there are some guys who are just far better than even those guys. The Connor McDavids of the world are on another planet when it comes to skating and scoring and being, incredibly, potent contributors to hockey outcomes, right? But for those guys who like struggle to stick in the NHL, it's sort of a way to stay relevant and stay paid and stay in the game to take on that role of an enforcer. And the Ice Guardians movie really does a great job of explaining this. And they do a lot of in-depth interviews with guys who have taken on that role. And they explain, how they got into fighting people, professionally. And, it's funny, you hear a lot of these guys talking, they're like, I didn't really want to get into fighting. I liked hockey, but I found this is a way I could sort of carve a place for myself at the professional level. And, they do fill really, really important roles on the team. And like, I think there's a really notable example in hockey history where Wayne Gretzky got traded to the Los Angeles Kings in 1988. And it was the most shocking moment in professional hockey history, right? When Gretzky got traded from the Oilers to the Kings. And as part of the deal, Gretzky insisted that his protection, his enforcer, Marty McSorley, come with him. It was that important to him that he have the guy who had been protecting him on the ice in Edmonton come with him to Los Angeles. So that just, again, shows you how much these guys are valued in hockey clubs, valued in locker rooms. That's why Liam O'Brien is on the team, despite the fact that he's only scored 5 goals last year in 75 games. He fights. That's simply put the reason why he's on the team is he's a fighter. He's got that energy. He's got the work ethic that people like, and a little bit of charisma goes a long way too. And I think you'll see him be really involved in what the Utah Hockey Club wants to do in the community. Again, I felt like that was part of what he was trying to accomplish, when he rocked the mic. But he talked to the Salt Lake Tribune about how he's looking forward to, getting out in the community, getting involved with the youth hockey scene. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to, probably get in a big-ass fight against Ryan Reeves one night or Nick Foligno of Chicago, who he fought last year. My prediction is that he'll drop the gloves in Utah's first ever regular season game and fight Foligno again. That's my big prediction. Or maybe it'll be like a guy like Matt Rempe who plays for the Rangers. Anyway, expect O'Brien to drop the gloves, take a few shots to the eye socket, one night, and then the next night be at the rinks in Provo signing autographs for the kids. Like that's the kind of guy he is. And that's the role he'll have on this team. And it's great. I think his personality is going to come out more and more. And he's going to be sort of revered in the same way that like guys like Joe Ingles were revered for the Utah Jazz. I think another good parallel, if you're coming at this from a basketball context, if you've been following the Jazz for a few years, he'll be like the Trevor Booker of the Utah Hockey Club, guy who mixes it up. He's great in interviews. He has a lot of personality. He's not gonna, wow you with his offensive abilities, but his hard-nosed play and his tenacity and his energy are definitely going to be noticed. I think he's already a fan favorite, and I think that'll be even more the case when when we get going here in October. So, I think he's probably an important person to talk to in our get to know the team segment. But moving back to our education series, and I know, again, for some of you guys who know a lot about hockey, who, are just watching this for, I don't know, who knows why. But if you're new to hockey and, you're interested in understanding the game better, understanding the rules, how to watch the game, how to understand what's happening. Hockey is kind of a confusing game at the surface level. If you don't know very much about it, it moves really fast. I mean, it's hard to understand exactly like what the players are looking at, what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, obviously they're trying to score a goal in the net. Like that's prerogative one, but how they do that within the confines of the rules can be a little confusing. And there's all the painted elements on the ice. There's lines, there's circles. What does it all mean? I will help you understand this. Okay. So this is in today's segment of Austin's hockey education series. The topic is going to be offsides, because I think that's a really fundamental thing to understand when it comes to hockey. All right. And it'll help you understand the lines on the ice and why the puck moves the way it does and all this kind of stuff. All right. So I've found these helpful diagrams online, and they're easy to find. I'm sure you guys can look these up. It's this on hockeymonkey.com. That's where that's a cool website where you can there's like the best hockey store online. If you want to get into the game and buy some new equipment, and maybe just even if you're curious about how expensive hockey equipment is, head to Hockey Monkey and see how much a pair of skates and a stick go for, because it might wow you, and you might go, holy moly, I can't believe people pay that. And yeah, they do. But anyway, they have some great resources here to help teach you hockey. And we'll start here with this graph. And this is just a basic look at a hockey rink that's been colored just to help illustrate the points here. But the blue lines are so important in understanding how hockey works, right? So the blue lines here separate the ice into thirds. And there's a defending zone, neutral zone, attacking zone. That's assuming the team is going in this direction from left to right. And really the blue line is kind of the border between each zone. And what's essential to understand is that if you're the team with the puck, maybe you've been getting attacked, right? The other team's been trying to get a goal. They're in the defending zone. You're breaking it out of the defensive zone. And we'll go into breakouts at some point as well. But you're breaking it out of the defensive zone. You're making your way through the neutral zone and into the attacking zone. The blue line is crucial because that sort of sets the pace, right? And the way it works is that basically you can't enter the offensive zone without the puck going in first, if that makes sense, right? So if you're skating the puck, you push the puck in front of you a little bit, get it across the blue line, has to cross before the player does. And it goes for all the players that are on offense that are attacking. So you see here, this is a good illustration here. Let's say here, so these are defensemen. This is right winger. This is center, left winger, right? Let's say, and I believe this diagram's showing that the centerman has the puck right here. So let's say the center wants to make a pass into the zone to the left winger. If the left winger is offsides and in the zone before the puck, the second he touches the puck, they're going to blow it dead, if that makes sense. So again, the puck has to enter the zone first. So in this situation, what would be onsides would be the centerman just skating the puck across first, the left winger taking a couple steps back and staying behind the play a little bit. And there's all kinds of ways that teams mitigate offsides. Maybe they might dump the puck into the corner first and then chase it down. But that's key to remember, right? Is you can't be in the zone before the puck. And a lot of times you'll see other things too, where like maybe like here's what's also important to understand. If the puck comes out of the zone, let's say this whole team is in the zone here. They're attacking, they're going for a goal. If the other team gets the puck out of the zone in any way, the entire team has to come out and I guess tag up, to use a baseball term, before going back in with the puck, if that makes sense. So if the defensive team gets the puck out, gets it in the neutral zone, everybody's got to come out. Now, in the event that there is an offsides violation, the whistle will blow the officials will blow the play dead. They'll have a face-off most of the time right here at this dot that's outside the blue line. But if the officials think it was like an intentional offsides, which does happen from time to time, maybe if the team's tired and they want to get a line change, or just for one reason or another, they might intentionally get an offsides, they'll punish them by having that face-off further into the neutral zone, closer to the defending zone. All right, does that make sense? So hopefully that's good. If you want to maybe get a more humorous take on offsides, I noticed the NHL put out a great video with Snoop Dogg explaining what offsides is, and the Dogfather does a great job getting into offsides and explaining it in his own way, in his own vernacular. It's funny that Snoop Dogg loves hockey so much. You'll see him frequently, rinkside at like Anaheim Ducks games, at LA Kings games. I think it's going to amaze people who are just starting to get into hockey, like that there is kind of a celebrity fan culture around there. I think another good example, and just while we're on this topic, and again, that was a really quick explanation on offsides. I hope that made sense, and I'm happy to go into that more in detail for you guys if needed. But the celebrity culture on hockey is going to be really funny too. And I just thinking about Snoop Dogg made me think about it. You know who the other big one that goes to Los Angeles Kings games is? Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell loves going to LA Kings games. And I think when I follow all the teams on Instagram, and I always see we create like Saturday Night Live guys at New York Rangers games. Ariana Grande is a noted Florida Panthers fan. It'll be interesting to see who Utah's celebrity, fan is. Maybe like David Archuleta or one of the Osmonds. Those guys are still around, right? I don't know. Tap in. Who do you guys think will be maybe Ty? I think we'll see a lot of Ty Burrell at Utah hockey games for sure. Yeah, that's one I could see as well. Post Malone would be great. We could see a little bit of Posty at the Delta Center. I'm sure he'll get the invite. But tune in or tap in. Who do you guys think will be Utah's big celebrity fan? I think that'll be kind of interesting to see. I think I'll tell you what those guys will be seeing. They'll be seeing Liam O'Brien go toe to toe with some of the big boys from time to time, and I think that'll be a lot of fun to see. So, and big thanks to you guys for tuning in. Episode 26 is in the books. As far as I can tell, I think this one recorded well, which I cannot say about some of the other previous ones, but hey, that's life, right? Living and learning. Really appreciate you guys having a ton of fun doing the show. If you want to stay updated on social media, just go to SLC Puck on all the platforms. Like, comment, subscribe, do your thing there. Tell a friend. Subscribe to the newsletter, slcpuck.com. And we'll talk to you soon. Later, guys.